She clocked out like any other nurse, tired, unnoticed, invisible. Minutes later, armed Navy SEALs walked into the hospital, not for a patient, not for an emergency, but for her. What they did next silenced an entire building. Before we begin, where are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments. And if you believe silent heroes deserve to be honored, please subscribe for more stories like this. Now, let's begin. The man was bleeding out, and they were arguing about paperwork. Blood soaked through the thin hospital sheets, spreading fast, dark, unstoppable. The trauma base smelled of iron and antiseptic, panic clinging to the air like humidity before a storm. A young intern froze near the wall, hands trembling, while a senior administrator barked orders about authorization codes and liability forms. In the middle of it all, she stood silent. Elena Rise, still in her pale blue scrubs, badge turned backward, hair tied in a loose knot from a 16-hour shift, pressed her gloved hands against the man's chest, slowing the bleeding with calm, precise pressure. "Step away," someone snapped. "This patient isn't cleared." Elena didn't look up. She felt the man's heartbeat faltering beneath her palms, weak, slipping. She made a choice. And in doing so, she broke every rule that mattered less than a human life. To most of the hospital staff, Elena was forgettable. 34 years old. Night shift nurse. Quiet. Always early, always last to leave. The kind of woman people talked around, never to. Her shoulders were slightly rounded from years of leaning over hospital beds. Her eyes carried a tired depth that suggested she slept lightly, if at all. Tonight, she should have been gone already. Her shift had ended 23 minutes earlier. Her bag waited in her locker. Her car sat alone in the far corner of the employee parking lot. But Elena stayed. Because the man bleeding out on the table had arrived without ID. Because no family had answered the phone. Because the rules were clear, and her conscience was clearer. Around her voices rose. Authority asserted itself. Fear dressed up as procedure. Elena remained silent. She'd learned long ago that shouting rarely saved lives. Elena Reyes hadn't always worn scrubs. Once, she wore desert camouflage bleached pale by Afghan sun. Once, the air she breathed smelled of sand, diesel, and gunpowder instead of disinfectant and coffee gone cold. Once, her hands shook not from exhaustion, but from adrenaline. She was 22 when she enlisted. Too young, her mother said. Too quiet, her drill sergeant thought. Too small, everyone assumed. They were wrong. She learned how silence could keep you alive. How listening mattered more than speaking. How panic spread faster than fire, and how calm could stop it. Combat medic, Navy SEAL team support. She treated wounds under rotor wash, stitched flesh in flickering light. Whispered reassurances to men who knew they were dying, and needed someone to tell them they weren't alone. She learned the weight of a body going limp in her arms. Learned the smell of blood mixed with dust. Learned how to compartmentalize grief until it hardened into something survivable. She lost people. Too many. A team leader who used to hum old rock songs while cleaning his rifle. A kid barely old enough to shave who joked about marrying his high school girlfriend. A friend who died buying Elena enough time to drag a wounded civilian out of a kill zone. When her contract ended, Elena didn't stay. She couldn't. The noise followed her home. The silence felt too loud. So she chose nursing. A hospital instead of a battlefield. Patients instead of operators. Lives that could be saved without violence attached. She never told anyone about her service. Because medals don't stop nightmares. And respect, she'd learned, was loudest when unspoken. "Mom, I need you to step away." The administrator's voice cut sharper now, tinged with irritation and fear. His suit looked expensive. His hands were clean. Elena felt the patient shudder beneath her touch. "We can't proceed without clearance." The man continued. "If something goes wrong." Something was going wrong. The patient's pulse weakened again. Elena adjusted her pressure, jaw tightening. She didn't argue. Didn't explain. She simply acted, efficient, controlled, decisive. Around them, nurses exchanged uncertain glances. Doctors hesitated. No one wanted to challenge authority. No one wanted responsibility. Silence pooled in the room. Elena broke it softly. "He has 3 minutes, she said. Her voice was low, steady. "If we wait, he dies." The administrator scoffed. "And if you're wrong?" Elena met his eyes for the first time. "Then you can fire me," she replied. She didn't say "I've done this before." She didn't say "I've watched men bleed out while people argued." She didn't say "I won't do it again." She just saved his life. The patient stabilized. Barely. Later, In the hallway, Elena was written up. Her badge was flagged. Her supervisor avoided eye contact. Someone muttered about protocol and insubordination. Elena listened, nodded, accepted it all without protest. She finished her charting. She clocked out. As she walked toward the exit, exhaustion settled deep into her bones. The hospital lights hummed overhead. The smell of bleach followed her like a shadow. She almost missed it, the subtle shift in atmosphere. The way security stiffened near the front desk. The way conversations died mid-sentence. The way the air itself seemed to hold its breath. Elena paused. Years of instinct whispered a warning. Something's coming. The doors opened. 6 men entered. They moved with purpose, with precision. Civilian clothes, but unmistakable bearing. Short haircuts, controlled posture. Eyes that scanned every corner without appearing to. Navy SEALs. The hospital froze. One nurse gasped softly. A doctor straightened. Security didn't move at all. The men stopped several feet from Elena. For a heartbeat, no one spoke. Then, as one, crisp, exact, unmistakable, time fractured, Elena didn't move. Her face remained calm, though something flickered behind her eyes. Surprise, recognition, memory. The lead SEAL lowered his hand. Petty Officer Reyes, he said quietly. We heard you were here. The administrator stepped forward, flustered. I don't understand. The SEAL didn't look at him. You saved one of ours tonight, he continued. Didn't ask who he was. Didn't wait for permission. He nodded once. That's who you've always been. Elena swallowed. I was just doing my job, she said. The SEAL's expression softened. No, he replied. You were doing what others couldn't. One of the younger SEALs spoke, voice rough with emotion. She never needed applause in the desert, he said. She just needed us alive. Another added quietly, some heroes don't raise their voices. They raise survival rates. Elena looked down, uncomfortable with the attention. The loudest honor, she murmured, is coming home. People stood. Doctors, nurses, interns, patients' families. No one clapped. They didn't need to. The silence was reverent, heavy with understanding. The administrator's face flushed. He cleared his throat, words failing him. For once, authority had nothing to say. The SEALs saluted again. Elena returned it slowly, deliberately. For the first time in years, her shoulders straightened. Not in pride, in peace. Elena left the hospital that night the same way she always did, quietly. But something had changed. Not the world, not the system. Just the way people saw her. And maybe, the way they'd see the next quiet nurse. The next silent professional. The next person who saves lives without asking for recognition. Because some battles are fought without weapons. Some heroes wear scrubs instead of uniforms. And some salutes come long after the war is over. If this story moved you, comment where you're watching from. Share what silent strength means to you. And subscribe for more stories that honor the heroes who never ask to be seen. Because they're already watching over us.